Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Jets, and Mets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin.
Yes, sir.
The New York Jets. They got a victory on Thursday night, 21-13 against the Texans. The Texans came in 6-2, leading the AFC South. They have the wonder kid, C.J. Stroud, who we made look not only mortal, but held to only 11 of 30 passing and had 8 sacks. 50% of his dropbacks were pressured. Talk to me, big guy. How did you feel about the win that the Jets got on Thursday night?
I was encouraged by the win. I was pumped up. Listen, by the end of that first half, I thought all was lost. Okay, I'm going to be honest. At the end of that first half, I was feeling very despondent. I didn't know what to expect in the second half. Somehow they found it at halftime. Thank goodness. They played well. There's no other way to look at it. I was very upset with the defense first half. I was even upset with them a little in the second half. They gave up too much running. Too much ground rushing yards.
Yeah, Mixon was gashing us,
totally. But when you look at it overall, they played a very good game. They bend but don't break. They were good in the red zone. They put extreme pressure on this guy. C.J. Stroud looked mortal, man. He looked really mortal. I have to say, Nick, there are a couple passes there that, dude, he just absolutely missed. Quite a few actually.
Yeah,
and just totally missed the guy. Aaron missed a couple in the first half, got it right in the second half.
The very first one to Devontae
was a disaster.
He just missed the guy. Just absolutely missed him. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. But, listen, hopefully we can improve on that. We can keep getting better. We have some big games coming up, and, who knows if we can put something together or this was all a mirage. I'm not willing to go. I'm not willing to stake a claim either way, frankly, at this point, to be honest.
Listen, the Jets went out and they lost 5 straight. The Jets are going to have to come out and win 5 straight. For me to have any sort of excitement about, what they can do as far as maybe getting to and doing some damage in the postseason. And like you said, they have the mini bye now. They have this Sunday off. They get to rest up. Aaron Rodgers gets to rest up. He was getting beaten up a little bit at the beginning of that game. Offensive line was looking like a disaster at the beginning of that game. And we were making a ton of mistakes on both offense and defense with penalties, not missing blocking assignments, letting screens get blown up because we're not blocking somebody, Mike Williams. But now we have the Cardinals up next. Then we have the Colts. Then we have the Seahawks. Then the Dolphins. Then the Jags. Then the Rams. Those are all games that if you want to do something this year, you got to go out and you got to win. You've put yourself in a hole where you have to go out and you have to get it done. As you said early on, it was tough. It was a disaster. We have, just all of the different ways that you cannot execute, we exude those. Like you said, we're the best at delay of games. I'm pretty sure you texted me that during the game. We're the best at the league in that. And then Malachi Corley. You can't get on the field. You can't even dress on game days. And you're a 3rd round pick. Another 2nd or 3rd round pick, the likes of, Denzel Mims. And then what's this other kid, the kid that we traded to Cleveland, the other receiver who we drafted
Elijah
Moore, that, when you draft receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round, you expect them to be contributors. And we have whiffed on 2 of them clearly. And now we have Malachi Corley who comes in and he's supposed to be the guy, Mr. Yak King, all this talk. And he's not dressing at the beginning of this season. He gets in the game. He gets an 18-yard run, a play that they clearly had schemed up and felt like this was the play. 18-yard run for what looks like it's going to be his first ever touchdown. And he drops the ball, pulls a freaking Deshaun Jackson, drops the ball before he gets across the goal line, and it's a touchback, and it's going the other way. Trying to explain that to my son, what just happened, was so frustrating because I'm like, yo, why should I have to even have to explain this? And then in that moment, you could hear across the nation, across the world, people just echoing the same sentiment, those 3 words that we hate so much, same old Jets.
Yeah, it was bad, man. I mean, when he did that, I mean, dude, like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I screamed at the TV like 14 times. But I just didn't understand. But listen, it's funny. I mean, it's just a stupid move, born of exuberance and stupid exuberance. Like a lot of people said, I heard a lot of players say, first of all, and Aaron Rodgers even said, first of all, why are you even giving up that ball? You should carry that
first
ball.
Touchdown.
Right. That ball, you should sleep with that ball tonight. Second of all, Bart Scott was saying that, you're running and you have it in your right hand and your left foot goes over the goal. And in your mind, you feel like I'm over the goal. But guess what? Your right arm that might have the ball is not, and then you drop the ball. Listen, either way, it's stupid. It's beyond stupid. But I did kind of see that where that left foot steps over, you think you're in. It's still stupid. Get into the end zone, put the ball down in the end zone, or hand the ball to the ref, whatever you got to do. I'd like to think the next time we see him score, he's going to do something like that. Or he's going to just set it down.
And also, because the Deshaun Watson thing has already happened, that's why, to me, there's just no excuse for this.
Oh, there's been a couple episodes, not just Deshaun.
Right. I know that. I mean, I'm not Watson. I'm sorry, Deshaun Jackson. But
right.
No, Deshaun Watson, he crosses the line in a slightly different way. So I mean, my thing is like, speaking of, real quick, I gotta do a real quick aside. I felt good for Jameis last year, just because we brought up Deshaun.
Last week.
I felt good for Jameis last week.
I always like Jameis, Mr. Crab Legs. That's my guy.
Jameis is the man. He like
his pregame speeches, Nick. Come on.
His pregame speeches. He's
the most Bama ever.
And you can, I mean, there's compilations of him and the different things that he said, and whether it be pregame speeches, interviews that make no sense, but also make perfect sense coming from Jameis Winston. I mean, he's everything about, he's so Jameis. Oh,
he's so Jameis.
He's so perfect. Anyway, back to the Jets. But so when you have a guy do something like that, I think it is a responsibility for all of us fathers in the world who have young athletes to point things out like this to our kids and say to them, like, you just never do this. Like, just eliminate this from ever being a possibility now when you're 8-9 years old, so that when you get later on in life. I mean, when they showed his face after they made the call and said it was a touchback, I felt bad. I almost felt bad for him. I could not feel bad for him because I felt too bad for myself and I was too fucking angry in the moment. But there was a point of, and when I did see the clip, maybe the next day after we had secured a win, I did feel bad for him. He's so lucky, because that right there, if we lose,
oh god,
it blows up way more,
way worse.
He is very lucky. It becomes, butt fumble, becomes the new butt fumble.
That's right.
But luckily enough, the Jets were able to figure out a way and able to get it done in the second half. Aaron Rodgers had, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone, one to Garrett and one to Devontae. And so we're going to get to the Garrett catch, but the first Garrett touchdown catch that he makes, that one-handed catch, that was amazing. That's a very, very tough catch to make. He makes it look easy, and it was a ball that he had to do that, and a ball that had to be put in that place because the defender was right there on it, and he had to only reach out and grab it with one hand. Sometimes guys do that frivolously. I thought that was a good application of that one-handed catch, and then we see one of the greatest catches of all time, and that is not hyperbole. The 3rd and 19, and Rodgers just decides that my guy is open because he is one-on-one and I trust him. I'm going to throw that ball up. There's a lot of receivers right there that do some silly shit where they fall backwards and the ball gets picked off. Mike Williams. Garrett goes up and he makes that catch. The one-handedness of it, it's just like, he snatched the ball out of the air with that one hand. He brings it down. He's able to control his body. It looks initially like he's out of bounds. Upon further review, he gets the shit in. And, 10 years after OBJ in the same venue, we get to see Garrett Wilson make one of the greatest catches. And I would say, honestly, I really think it's the best catch I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm going with best catch ever. Yeah, I like it better than OBJ's catch also. This was OBJ's catch actually a touchdown?
No.
See, that's number one. Number two, it was in a loss. It was in a loss. I think he was out of bounds there, like a half-yard line.
Yeah. I don't think.
But it was in a loss too. Garrett's catch was in a win. And listen, man, what that did to the team right then, that catch meant everything to this team right then. I think that definitely gets best ever for me. Okay, let's go that route. But it's an amazing, amazing catch. It's only going to make his confidence get stronger and brim, and I have to admit where I was wrong, where I thought Devontae wouldn't be good because bad for Garrett. It's actually good for Garrett because he's embracing it properly, and it's ended up giving him more opportunities. I do like it when we use Devontae enough, but not more than Garrett. I'd rather be targeting Garrett more than Devontae, but that's not to say Devontae shouldn't get his 5 or 6
OBJ's was a
catches
touchdown. I just watched it.
It was. Okay. But yeah, I'm with Garrett's catch. Garrett's amazing. And, I don't know. He's better than OBJ. OBJ never stayed healthy anyway.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's going to, when it's all said and done, just accumulate more due to his being on the field. I just, I thought it was an amazing catch. I thought he had a really good game overall. And I thought that, especially after that ball hit him in the chest, that led to an interception, a couple weeks ago, it was time for him to step up. And he has been better these few games with less attention ever since we have Devontae Adams on the other side. And then Adams, he stepped up and he had a good game. He ends up going to the blue tent and being gone for a while. He comes right back in. And, the catch that he had that was like the game sealer, that was a play with him and Rodgers where you could tell Rodgers kept Mike Williams. Right, I think he told Mike Williams to make sure that, he had room if it was going to be the go route. So he probably wanted to make sure that he knew where to run because clearly that's an issue for Mike Williams. I'm crushing Mike Williams today.
You really are.
I know.
He had a good game.
I know. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. It's just.
We love you, Mike.
I don't know about all that, but I thought that that play was a rhythm, a timing, a guy be in the right spot, and when everybody does everything correctly, it looks that easy. And we saw Aaron Rodgers miss some of those earlier in the game, and we saw him get beat up early, and the offense had no rhythm, and it was just 3 and outs, not running the ball enough, terrible possessions, costly penalties, and then in the second half, they righted the ship and they got it done. And I couldn't believe that we were a 2-point favorite going into this game against Houston. Houston seems like they're a much better team than us. I know that they have injuries in the wide receiver room, but their offensive line looked like it had some issues, and we were able to get after them. 8 sacks, like I said earlier. Clemens had 2 sacks. And then the roughing the kicker. I mean, the roughing the kicker on the punt after we just got off. I mean, come on, man. You just cannot do that shit. And then, now
that angle.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. It's a bad angle. You're trying to make a play, and I get that, but you have to, your technique wasn't proper. Your angle was wrong.
Okay. Well,
if your angle's right there, you don't hit.
I get it. I understand. It's just a little bit outside of my level of sophistication. I do get the concept, but personally, I just feel like, guys, just don't fucking do that. All right. Figure out a way to not give them the ball back right there. How about that? Riley Patterson, our new kicker. He's a little shaky. He gets the doink, but the doink goes in. And like I texted you during the game, Zerline's doinks have been missing this year. So hey. We just couldn't continue to run Zerline out there. I mean, we legitimately could have a totally different outlook on our season if Zerline was better. We could have 3 more wins right now. And if he was just did what we typically expect from him, what he has done prior. So we had to make a move there as far as the kicker is concerned. And now, like I said, the Jets, they have some winnable games ahead of them. We think, what exactly we're going to get, who exactly we're going to see. Who knows from week to week? I watched that game. I was actually watching that game on my phone because I was trick-or-treating with my kids. But I watched most of it on the phone. I watched the first half, I think, at home, and then the second half I watched on my phone. But I was watching it with no pressure, and it was kind of nice because it's just I feel like the season's over and we suck. Even when they were sucking, I was annoyed, but I wasn't the typical level of just angry that I am. And now. What the season is setting up for, what's going to end up happening is we're going to just get to the point where we're close enough in the last couple games where it's like, oh, if we do this and this happens, we can get in, just so I can get all invested, just for them to fucking kick the stool out from up underneath me.
Well, and then, absolutely play ourselves out of the Shedeur Sanders sweepstakes. Which, by the way, I think personally, if somehow we were able to draft Shedeur, Dion would absolutely pull an Archie Manning and say, no, he can't go.
Whew. Just because of the Jets' utility as an organization.
Yes, absolutely. He's already said
there's 5
that he's gonna choose that.
He said 5 teams. I think he said there's
right.
5 teams.
So he's
the Jets are not one of the 5. That's for sure.
They're not one of the 5. There's no way. There's no way. So yeah. So we don't want Shedeur anymore. You forget Shedeur. He's out. Get Travis Hunter.
Yeah. What's up with Sauce?
Nick, yes or no? Have I been telling you since day one? We love Sauce and all that, but I've been telling you since day one. Even when he was doing so great, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, he's extremely handsy. Nick, literally every play he could get called for pass interference, but that can happen to a lot of guys, right? But him especially, he's extremely handsy, Nick. I don't understand why they haven't called it more before this year, but now they're starting to call it, and he doesn't seem to understand it, which I don't understand how he doesn't understand. But, I mean, Nick, he sometimes has 2 hands on receivers all the time. And it's like, dude, man. And I feel like if I'm listen, he made 1 or 2 plays, where he gets in there and he does his thing. But if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm surely going at Sauce and seeing if I can get an interference call. Because there's a lot of times, Nick, where I think he gets away with it, which I would be furious if I was the opposition, but I'm thankful because I'm a Jet fan. But, I think he's a very good defensive back, Nick. He's too handsy. And he doesn't seem to be changing that, but he seems to feel like he can get away with it. And you know what? A lot of time he does.
The handsy thing, it's definitely something that you've always said, something that, has been noticeable here recently. He's been called for it. In this game, I didn't think that was that much of an issue. My issue with him was his inability to tackle and the fact that they were throwing at him. They seemed almost as if they were targeting him. And a lot of those big plays that happened in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, where they were trying to get back into the game, they were on Sauce. It was when Sauce was supposed to be guarding a guy, and they were he was getting burnt. It seems like he does well early in plays, but if you have something where the quarterback's able to get out of the pocket and run around a little bit, Sauce's guy was quite often finding himself open with the ball being delivered to him by C.J. Stroud. Sauce has to be better, man. The whole tackling part, it's like, dude, I don't understand.
Terrible.
But I don't understand. Like, listen, we know that you're light in the ass, okay? We know that you're not going to truck anybody. Why is he not DJ Reed does a good job of just going at people's shins, just going hard at people's shins, throwing himself at peop's shins and hoping for the best. Yeah, as Sauce tries to grab people around the shoulder pads, and then they just literally saddle him up and ride. And it's just like, come on, man. I don't get how the technique can still be so bad. And you can see that teams definitely are targeting him in the run and specifically 100%. Trying to get out wide and go directly at him. 100%. And how at this point, both he and his coaching staff haven't been like, yo, we need to shore up the way that you tackle. Like, come on, man. I mean, there's been great cover corners who weren't good tacklers before. That's one of the things I love about Revis. Revis was a good tackler too. But Dion wasn't he was not a great tackler. But it wasn't this bad. It was not this bad.
I don't know, Nick. He was not a good tackler at all. He was really bad. But he was a better cover corner than anybody you're going to see outside of maybe Revis, okay? I for my money, Dion's the best corner ever, okay, that I've ever seen. I
agree with that. I love Revis. But, Dad, I do think that we can't discount. I understand that this year, during this season, Sauce hasn't been that great. His first 2 years, as far as a cover corner, Sauce was, otherworldly. As far as the metrics, as far as the statistics against, and as far as the eye test, he was a fantastic cover corner these first 2 years. This year, there does seem to be some sort of drop off.
No doubt, he was better. He's better at doing his job, better at covering years past. This year, worse. But he's always been handsy, and I don't know. Maybe he's a little gimpy somehow, Nick. I don't know, but he does seem a step slow, like he's not right up on people, or he's always trailing. Like you said, those plays down the stretch, he was getting burnt. And Nick, I mean, his tackling, he's not going to change. Okay, the man's in the pros now, and he doesn't know how to tackle, Nick. I mean, it's embarrassing, Nick. If I had a kid who was playing tackle football, I'd be like, do not ever watch this man tackle anyone, because he literally grabs people around the shoulders and then just hangs on and waits for other people to get involved. It's so bad, and it's gotten to the point now, Nick, where I'm seeing this. He's making a couple business decisions out there because he knows he's about to get struck, and he's trying to step to the side and punch the ball out, shit like that. He doesn't seem to do that well at all. Okay, I've never seen him strip the ball.
He doesn't create turnovers in any way. That's the one thing that's very frustrating with him. I mean, it seems like, he never gets an interception, and that used to feel a little bit better when it was like, yeah, but they never throw his way. Now they're throwing his way.
Right. And that's what I think too contributes to how well he did the first 2 years, Nick. Yes, he played well. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I feel kind of like, Nick, he had this reputation that just grew and grew and grew. And then all of a sudden, he had this reputation. I don't know that he was as good as his reputation.
Dad, I mean, the amount of times that you've seen that guy make a play where a guy has the ball in his hands and then he comes and knocks it out. He's right there on it. He's right there on top.
Very good player, Nick.
He's been fantastic.
He's as good as his reputation.
I think his first 2 years he earned it. I mean, first team All Pro.
Best corner in the league. That boy Patrick Surtain is definitely better than him.
I don't think he was the first 2 years. No, I don't think he was. Not the first 2 years. The first 2 years, Sauce was an elite cover corner, and first team All Pro. That's
as good as
that's coming from the players and from the people. That's coming from everybody. Everybody gets a voice in that vote. So I mean, I think that's something that can't be taken away from him. I do think that he's been fantastic these first 2 years. This year there's been a drop off, a lot more year. Hopefully he can turn it up, find another gear, and hopefully he can continue to get back to what we've seen from him prior. I saw this week somebody on Twitter said, and I want to ask you the same question: if you could trade Sauce right now for 2 first-round picks, would you do it?
Yeah, those 2 first-round picks, man, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know. Nobody's giving that up.
Nobody's giving that up for Sauce. Are you out of your mind? Nobody's giving that up. Did you hear the crazy trade proposal that Tannenbaum floated?
No.
Saying that if he, they asked him for a crazy trade proposal, and he said, trade Myles Garrett to Detroit to take over for Aiden Hutchinson for 3 first-round picks and Jahmyr Gibbs. And a second, I think, also he would throw in there. That's insane. That's too much. Yes. 3 first-round picks for virtually anybody is insane, first of all. And Jahmyr Gibbs is really good.
Yeah.
I'm not giving that up. That's too much.
Myles Garrett, I mean, he's, otherworldly, though. He's and if you're Minnesota and you feel like you got a chance to win a Super Bowl, you got to Detroit, you got to replace Hutchinson. So, I don't know. I just think that cost is a little bit higher. I don't think that's too high. I mean, when people are trading for a big time quarterback or like trading for like a number 1 pick, even they don't trade, quite that much. So yeah, I think that's a bit steep for sure. But yeah, Jets, we'll see what we can do. It's 1 week at a time. They come out here to the desert Sunday, November 10th. Of course, they look good against the Texans, and I had already, come to grips with the fact that I'm not spending all this money to go see the Jets when they come here. And now I'm like, this could be the beginning of the run. I could say I was there for the beginning of the run. We did. Hey, look, with the Mets, we were there for the beginning of a run that led us all the way to, Game 6 of the division series. So who am I to take this away from the Jets? My great record of attendance and not doing my part.
Okay, sure. You go ahead. Have a nice time. You get your face kicked in at Glendale Stadium, or whatever they call a big toaster, that stadium. No, I can't do it.
So you're definitely out. You're definitely out on the game.
I'm definitely out on the game.
Even if
spending the money.
So you're not spending the money, but if somehow we were able to come up with tickets on the Humble, which both of us have been known to do before, is there you still you just don't even want to give it your time?
Right. I kind of feel like I just want to stay home and watch the game. I mean, unless I'm really I don't know, Nick.
We've seen every Knicks game since I've lived here. We've seen every time they've come out here. We've gone to at least one game in every Mets series since we've been out here. Yeah. And we went to the one other time that the Jets came out here.
We did, huh? I forgot.
Yeah, that was the game where Gino, I think, threw 3 picks, and at one point you looked at me during the game, and you said to me, if he throws another interception, we're leaving right now. And he dropped back and threw a pick 6, and you were like, "Let's go."
Dude, I'm not putting myself through that again, but if you go, I'll root you on.
You'll root me on. I don't know, man. I think we got to get in there. I'm gonna try and make something happen. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, we'll see. And then, hey, like I said, man, we got some winnable games, man. Let's see what the Jets can do. Let's see.
It's going to be a tough game this week.
Earn my fandom and my focus back. Okay, so I'm going to continue to watch the games with someone that have a passive mindset, like I did last time, and be disappointed but not be disgusted. And if they give me a reason to be joyful, and they can keep stacking those, it's not easy. It's not hard to get me to be all in.
This game this week is going to be a very, very tough game. I mean, it could be. I mean, Kyler Murray, that guy can scramble. He can throw it deep. What's his name? Our boy Sauce better be ready because they're going to come at him deep. But he can also turn the ball over. So, we got to turn him over. I worry about his scrambling. I worry about James Conner out of the backfield. I mean, Terminator. That's tough, man. He's a good runner, man. And, if we don't come correct, I heard an analysis this week that really made a lot of sense. Javon Kinlaw, the mistake he's making so often, Nick, is that he's jumping out of his gap. Mm-hmm. And, he constantly jumps out of his gap because he's looking for the path of least resistance. But they don't want him to do that. They want you to stay in that gap and take on 2 blockers so that the linebacker can fill that gap. But he jumps out that gap, and the running back goes through that hole, and it's a parade down the field. So, and Chris Canty brought up a good question though. If they can see it on the film, because Bart could see it, these guys can see it, so they can obviously. Why are they not either penalizing this guy or saying, "Dude, you can't do that anymore. That ruins the integrity of our defense."
These are the same questions that we ask about everything with the Jets, where it's like, how do we continue to make these simple mistakes over and over again? Things that, guys who analyze the game and used to play the game can see, things that you and I can see, and it just seems like they never get better. And it's just like, yo, what the fuck, man? Like, it's really, really hard to understand how these simple things just continue to stack up as far as miscues by the Jets for what seems like decades.
Right.
Doesn't even feel like it's just this team or this coaching staff. It's decades of this bullshit, man. And like you said in the first half, Brick looked a little bit shell shocked in the first half, man.
Brick does he does that look of bewilderment very well. But look, he's had a lot of reasons to be bewildered. And like I said, man, we've taken the delay of game to a new art form. We're better at that than anyone in history.
We only had like one this game, though, right?
I don't know.
I think we had one, but then we had at least one other timeout, like a crazy timeout.
But you know what? I tell you what, if we have any more of these issues, just Rodgers has to shorten it up or something, man. He runs everything down to like 2 seconds, and I get it. I get it. That's his
the delay of games weren't on him. The delay of games were not on him. The delay of games were on the coaching staff. They were getting the plays in extremely late. I saw somebody break down how the plays were coming in extrently late.
See, that's
he's not running him down on the delay of games. The delay of games, he's getting the play in. He's trying his best to get him up and get out, and they can't because it's coming in too late.
I don't know if I agree with that, because the delay of games, it's not like he's coming up there and telling guys, okay, hi, and they go. He's still up there saying 319.
No, not for the delay of games. They're not.
He didn't do not one 319 on the delay of game call. I guarantee you, he did, Nick.
Not on all of them. There's definitely somewhere there's somewhere that we're not even getting lined up, like and the clock is going down and they're getting a delay of game or having to call a timeout. That's because the play is getting in too late.
Fine, but call a timeout. But then, Nick, there's some plays where he's up there and he's going through his cadence, and then we run out of time. And it's like
earlier in the season, games 1 and 2 that happened. Here recently, it's been more about them not getting
in. Look at that game against New England, Nick. He had at least one play there where just at the end, when they called delay a game, he turned around and went like this to the ref, like trying to give a timeout.
Yeah, but that's like, because
he was going through the cadence at the time, Nick.
No, he wasn't.
He was going through the cadence. He didn't just come up there and say, go. Okay.
he did come up, and his cadence was whatever. It was on 3 or whatever. I don't fucking know. Why are we even talking about this? Why are we talking about delay of games? That's the issue more than anything else. Is like, how is it that this team is having an issue with this? It seems to be the easiest thing is to just line up, no one jump, and get the playoff in time. And that's a consistent issue. Again, why is it that we can't figure this shit out? It's very frustrating, man.
I don't know. It's very frustrating.
The New York Knicks, they moved to 3-2 with an absolute demolition in the D. They take, yeah, man, Detroit. Things are not looking good for those cats over there. The Knicks go in. They absolutely take care of business. They win 138-98. Brunson gets it going. He ends up with 36 points. He ends up being 6 of 8 from behind the arc. Bodega Cat continues to do his thing. He has, 21 points and just an absolute total floor game, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, some of them just absolutely gorgeous dimes over the head, backdoor to Brunson. The Knicks look great. The Knicks look like a team that is supposed to be a very good, if not great team, playing a bad team, and they at no point ever had any doubt. It was very clear 2 to 3 minutes into this game that the Knicks were going to win, and they were going to win big. It never got hairy, and it was so good that Tom Thibodeau got everybody out at the 5-minute mark, which is amazing for him to do. So yeah, man, great win for the Knicks. What you think?
Yeah, no, they played very well. Very excited about what I see. But I think, everybody just, we got to calm down. We're going to have some rough spots this season at different times, but not too much maybe. But, I mean, we're a good team. We're a good team, good, solid team. The difference in how we play ball now, and listen, we both like Julius. You loved him more than I did, but we're a better team. We are a better team, I think, offensively, there's no doubt, and maybe even defensively, too. But, Cat, you can see the difference he is making with how the ball moves so crisply and just how he moves without the ball, frankly, and with the ball,
In the space.
And just even when he decides he's going to the basket, Nick, it's a quick decision. It's not a get the ball in. Okay, no, he's already gone by then, or he's passed the ball. One of the other. Okay, within 3 to 5 seconds, he's doing one or the other. And
less than that. Honestly.
Less than that.
Within like a second, he's going into his move, because when he catches the ball, first of all, if you're not out on him, he's just immediately pulling up and booming. I mean, his shots from 3 or 4 feet behind the 3-point line look like, shots that typically guys would take when they're warming up from inside the paint. He's able to just catch the ball from there, and it's just so easy, flick of the wrist. And you either have to be out on him or you have to respect his pump fake. And then if you do that, then he's going past you, and he takes the longest strides ever. Mm-hmm. He has a very good handle for a guy his size.
He does.
Rarely see him getting loosey-goosey with the ball and, anything like that. He has a very good handle, and he takes like 2 long strides, and then he's at the rim, and he can finish in a variety of ways from a variety of different angles. He's very much impressed me with his presence inside, both on the rebounding and offensively, where he's getting his work and getting his scoring. He's not so 3 happy. And by the way, when he does shoot the 3, he's shooting 65% so far this season. And I mean, he's just, I love watching him play, and it's so hard for me to even like grasp that, because I haven't liked watching him play, but I think that it's a combination of his game has matured, and I also think that the Knicks are asking slightly different things of him, and he's responding. And I think he's really taking this whole, hey, I play for a New York mentality. The leader of our team, Brunson, and the way that he, shows up with his lunch pail every day. And now we're just surrounded with a bunch of guys who they do their job, they do it efficiently, and there is zero ball stoppage or a guy wanting to get his. It's never about that with this team so far. The ball moves so well, and guys cut. One of the things that Tibbs said in the post game last night was playing off the cut. And I like that terminology. And I thought that in the first half, in that first quarter, Dad, we scored more backdoor layups than we did all of last season, maybe. And as the thing that you always talked about all of last year, every single bucket that we got was so much work and such a grind. And it's so nice to see this team get nice, easy baskets.
You know who's a big contributor with that? It's Bridges.
Bridges. I mean,
like we spoke about, this whole changing your shot thing was the most insane.
It's over. I don't want to talk about it ever again.
Right. I don't even know what he's thinking, because his shot looks perfect now.
Perfect.
I mean, and it's so quick, and it's so high. He catches it here and then just shoots. And I mean, he doesn't do anything. His shooting motion is so efficient, and he wastes so little motion and energy. It's just fantastic, man.
And he doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss. That corner jumper never misses.
Oh, he's great from the corner threes, but Dad, when he's inside the arc and he decides to pull up for one of those little jumpers, it seems he's legitimately, I think he shoots like 80 or 90% on those shots.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And one of the things he does, he had a great action with Brunson where he passes to Brunson and then he went and he cuts through and Brunson gave it back to him. He's in the paint. He gets so much gravity. Guys come to him. And a lot of times that's when he makes that little quick, like little pocket pass to like Brunson for like a back door. But in this point, they didn't. And then he just dribbled like two dribbles to the paint. And then he gets to, he's just like about like 9 feet away. And at that point, he's like, okay, I'm just going to turn around and shoot this jumper. And no one can do anything with it. And it always goes in.
And it's
such a good counter to like, hey, if they don't actually all come on you and you got the guy wide open, you can't get all the way to the basket. Okay, let's take this other shot that you're extremely efficient at. I mean, it's beautiful. He's
extremely efficient and he's extremely fundamental.
So fundamentally sound.
He just dribbles to his spot, turns around, shoots. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't waste time or energy.
There's no like this to his game. No, it's everything straight lines. Yes,
and
exactly.
Like you said, he turns around, he shoots. His release is so high, no one can block his shot. I love DiVincenzo. I really did. But, this guy gives us much more than DiVincenzo ever could. Like I said to you the other day, he's just a better player than DiVincenzo. Now, DiVincenzo is great, but this guy's going to give us a lot more, Nick. He just
the size and the shot.
He can do a lot more, Nick.
The shot creation. Like you can give him a ball and say, "Hey, get a bucket." And when you're not asking him to get 26 points, when you're asking him to get a cool 15 to 20 and do it efficiently, he can do that all day, every day, all night, like all season long. He's going to be able to do exactly that. And every once in a while, he's going to pop off and get you a 30 piece when things are going for him. And the thing I love about this team right now, it feels like they are the type of team that when somebody gets it going, they're just like, okay, let's feed him. Brunson got on himself after that Cleveland game for Cat only shooting, I think, 9 times that game, and him saying that's on me. And since then, these last 2 games, you can see that Brunson is making more of a concerted effort. And then Brunson finally started to see some shots go in. It's interesting because he actually missed a couple bunnies early in the game against Detroit that he typically hits. And he did get it going from behind the arc, and then everything started coming. And it all really started to go great for him when he started to get those backdoor layups. He got a couple of backdoor layups. One was from Bridges. One was that beautiful pass from Cat where he catches it at the high post. And that's Bridges made that pass to Cat because he knew that by making that pass to Cat, that was what was going to open up the Brunson back door. He knew that, like, he looked for the Brunson back door, but he realized if I give it to Cat, he's going to have the better angle. And Cat doesn't even think. He just catches the ball, boom, throws it over his head immediately. I mean, beautiful.
Amazing.
And one. Brunson missed the free throw. But yeah, man, it's just it's really, really, really beautiful basketball to watch. OG. Very aggressive last night.
My goodness.
Very aggressive last night. And OG had, the defense is fantastic. Even in that previous game where you see OG maybe, not having a ton of points, but his ability on the defensive end to affect the game is something that it just jumps off the screen if you understand the game at all. Last night, he was 8 of 15. He was 3 of 5 from behind the arc. He had 6 assists. 6 assists, which I really like. Him getting 6 assists, Karl Anthony Towns getting 7, and then Josh Hart getting 4. I think that's huge.
I think listen, everybody on the team is playing well. Backup players, Kolek came in, looked good. Campaign even came in, looked good. Hook Portage, an active live body. I honestly think, Nick, that some people are getting upset that, oh, you kept those starters in too long. Nick, these guys need to play. They need to play, and they're not playing again till Monday. They don't practice that hard, I'm sure. They just got together as a team. I'm sure part of what Tibbs is doing is I want these guys to play, one, get in better shape, and two, play with each other. Play. Yeah. So, people are like, oh, they didn't even need to play the fourth quarter. No, that's stupid. No. Because one, you don't want to sit everybody down and then things get hairy. Now you got to bring everybody back cold. But two, they need to play.
At this point of the season, they need to run.
This is what they do. Right. It's early in the season. It's, come March, you want to, in situations like this, I agree. But, right now they need to play.
Yeah, listen, I definitely thought that, hey, Tibbs got everybody out with 5 minutes. I was glad that he did when he did. I would have been a little bit annoyed if it had been 3 minutes and, guys are still in there, especially the Brunsons, any of the starters, really. When I go and I look at the box score, 37 minutes in this game for a somewhat dinged up Josh Hart. I would have liked to see that number come down a little bit. But other than that, I'm not mad at any of the numbers.
Josh Hart ain't dinged up, please.
Josh Hart, he has been a little bit dinged up. He's the engine.
Give him some Mike and Ike's and he's good.
All right. Well, remember we saw what happened last year when he pulled that abdominal in the playoffs. That was the end of our season. We kept battling and coming back against injury. When he got that abdominal, that's when it was really over for us, and we just weren't going to be able to overtake the Pacers. But I didn't have it. Like I said, I did not have an issue. Karl Anthony Towns played 28 minutes, 27 minutes and 29 seconds. Brunson played 30 minutes and 39 seconds. I'm good with that. And I did think that, I think Kolek needs to be a little bit more aggressive to score the ball, and that'll open up his ability to pass the ball some. I thought overall the two big numbers for the Knicks were 30. We had 30 points on 22 turnovers against the Pistons, and then we had 30 assists in each of the last two games.
Excellent.
We really are moving the ball great. It's fantastic to see. It's so much fun to watch. And then when we can turn it up on the defensive end consistently, that's what's going to take us to the next level. And we're starting to see that at certain points. OG is always doing it. In that Miami game, I thought it was telling that your boy Tyler Hero, he was getting off. He was doing his thing. We were letting him walk into way too many wide open threes. And then we went ahead and we put Bridges on him in that late third and into the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, that cat wasn't even getting the ball. The ball denial was unreal, fantastic. And Bridges, when he really wants to turn it up, he can do that. And he works a little bit better against that smaller guy than OG does, I think. OG can play up a little bit bigger. He works better on that smaller, little quick guy. And I think that we have to make sure that we deploy them at the right times to both keep them fresh, but also, when guys are getting a little bit hot, get after them. Josh Hart has been playing excellent defense. Josh Hart has been playing excellent basketball in general, but Tyler Hero was a bit much for him.
Yeah, that's more Bridges style. And listen, man, the defense has been sterling, man. I mean, it's so fantastic. We just have to keep it up. If we can,
it's lack consistency. It's lack consistency.
Well, yes. It's been 5 games. So, talk to me after 20 games. I think we'll get consistent. I don't worry about the consistency of our defense with Tibbs as the coach. That will happen. So we just have to keep it up and keep pushing, man. Keep pushing and, push through the hard moments. We have some interesting games coming up, but yeah, this is going to be a very interesting season. Did I see that we play what's his name soon? Philadelphia soon in that something cup. Or whatever cup they call it.
Yeah. We play Philly the 12th, Tuesday, November 12th. Next Friday, I think, is the cup, and I think we play Milwaukee. I think that's the cup.
That's right. What about Milwaukee?
Milwaukee 1-4, man. 1-4.
Man. And I mean getting smashed by some not so great teams.
Getting smacked. Yeah. Milwaukee, you're looking at, finishing, what, 5th, 6th, because, Orlando just got that huge blow by this guy, Banchero, having the oblique. He's out indefinitely.
Oh, really? I know.
Yeah. They said they're going to reevaluate him in 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
And he was balling this season, had a 50-point game.
He's very good.
He's very good. And he was balling this season. So yeah, that's a tough one right there for them. And then we got Houston on Monday. Got to take care of business. Got to take care of Houston. Houston's pretty good. Houston 3-2.
They are very good.
They got some young talent. Yeah, explosive. The kid Jalen Green can fill it up, and then you got Atlanta have to win that game. Milwaukee feels like that's a must win right now, and then then we play at Indiana next Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see as the Knicks move forward. What can they do in this first 10? Can they?
Yeah.
Are they going to hover around 5-5, or can they get to 6-4? I would think at least would be good. If they somehow come out of the first 10 and they're 7-3, I'll feel great. We had a really tough beginning of the season. Cleveland's good, man. Cleveland
They are good. That's 6-0 last I saw.
They get after on the defensive end, and
we still could have beat them.
Yeah,
still could have beat them. We let that game slip away.
We let that game slip away, and Brunson was, he was a bit of a chucker in the fourth quarter in that game.
Yeah,
we should have given the ball up a little bit more. We needed to move the ball overall, and that is one thing that, going back to the Melo days, Knicks teams, it seems like whenever there's a close game at the end, we just devolve into this okay, we're going to give it to this one guy and have him ISO. I'm really hoping that this particular team, especially with some of the signs that we've seen so far, does not do that and continues to move it and get easier shots in the clutch moments.
Agreed. Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, listen, we have the players to do it. We literally have the players to do it now. With having a big man that is that nimble and good with the ball in his hands and can move it, that's extraordinary, man. You don't find that on many teams.
Yeah, and I thought that Sims looked pretty good these last couple games.
He did.
He hasn't had moments where I'm like, Sims, what the fuck are you doing? And he's got a couple offensive rebounds. I think he had 9 boards, and 3 of them were offensive. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of Sims. He's playing a little bit better because Huckporty at one point, he had that one game where he got 12 minutes and Sims only got 3, and Huckporty played pretty well. But it seems like the order has been restored as far as our center rotation, according to Jericho Sims, and he's been getting the minutes over Huckporty these last couple games.
Yeah. No, Sims has been playing pretty well. So, but I like having this guy Huckporty, hot on his heels because I need Sims to stay focused. But he's done pretty well. And listen, Precious should be back soon. I do enjoy Precious's choice of outfits and some of his hats he's had.
Yo, Precious is a wild boy. He does wear some wild shit for sure. And your guy, DWade, I want to see more of DWade. I always want to see more of
he
DWade.
Does okay
whenever he's in, he seems like he's okay. His shooting stroke looks confident. I remember he had that debacle in Summer League where he couldn't hit the side of a barn. But
he played much better than he did in Summer League.
Much better, both in preseason and in the limited action he's seen during the season for sure. One other thing that I just wanted to point out about the Knicks that I think there's something to, and how big of a Julius guy I am, but we know that he's a bit of a surly type. And I saw somebody make this point, and I think it's worth noting. Cat's overall vibe and just enthusiasm.
Oh, it's positive.
It's got to be an uplifting thing to have that as opposed to the surly Julius. Because both on the court and it just seems like in general, Julius is just not he's somewhat of a
dour individual.
Right. And so, hey, I wish Julius and Dante the best out there. They are playing well for Minnesota. Minnesota is looking pretty good for sure. Ant is coming out strong, and I've seen some calls to get Dante into the starting lineup out there from some Minnesota fans. But wish them the best. Love what we got going on over here. Let's finish off this road trip right. And we don't play the Celtics again for a while. I think we did that. I don't think we play
we don't play the Celtics again until sometime
February.
February.
I know.
Long time.
Yeah, and I hope when we get back to that point, it's on some shit where it's like, all right, clearly the 2 best teams in the East, and let's see what it's about. Because that first game, we obviously didn't look like ourselves, and consistency both on the defensive side and consistency in the ball movement. If we can get some consistency around those 2 things, I think we have a real chance to do something special this year.
No doubt about it. I think, I believe. Of course, I believe, and I want to believe, but. I think they're a good team, Nick. I really do. I like the way this team is constructed. I think once again, Leon's done a great job.
In Leon, we trust. The World Series has concluded. The Dodgers have won their 8th World Series. They win in 5. The Yankees, they get the 1 win in Yankee Stadium. They got, fans trying to break Mookie Betts' arm and rip a ball out of his glove. And they have Aaron Judge coming out in the next game, hitting a 2-run shot in the first. And you feel like everything's going. And then the 5th inning happens. Judge he drops a fly ball, just takes his eyes off the ball coming right to him. I mean, I know that you just got the big hit and you're finally starting to come to the party when it comes to the offense for the Yankees in this World Series and in this postseason. But then you have that fly ball that you drop, which will always be infamous because it is the first domino in what ends up being one of the sloppiest and one of the most well-known for in its ineptitude innings that you're ever going to see in World Series history. Then Cole doesn't cover. The ball's hit to Rizzo. Rizzo gets to the ball. To me, honestly, it looked like Rizzo could have gotten to the bag there, but Cole still has to cover. He just doesn't and points. And then Volpe spikes the throw to third to Jazz Chisholm. And then what do you know? Freddie Freeman, you can actually stop him from hitting a home run this time, which no one can do, but he gets the clutch base hit, and all of a sudden it's a tie game. Dodgers go on to win the game. The Yankees retook the lead after that, and then the Dodgers end up getting 2 runs, and they win the game and they win the World Series. The Yankees lose in 5. They couldn't even get to 6 like the Mets could, and like I told you, there was a part of me that wanted to see the Yankees win for some sentimental reasons. Once I saw that fan rip the ball out of his hand, and not just that, but the way that he was then glorified, I got into an argument with a buddy of mine who's a Yankees fan the next day that was like, oh, he posted something about it when it said that those guys were banned and said, oh, they should be celebrated, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
For what?
And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, it's the most New York thing ever. And I'm like, first of all,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. He's from Long Island, by the way. But
okay, there you go.
I knew that you would say that. But yeah, man, it's like, come on, man. Like, this guy's out here. He's playing this game. He's playing it at the highest level. He's one of the greatest athletes of our time, and he's reaching into the stands and he's going to catch the ball, and you were going to hold his glove like that and try to rip the ball out of his hand. I just thought that was so Bush League and such bullshit. And the fact that guy got glorified and was getting like interviewed and shit the next day, that part was like, I almost want them to lose now, just because the facts that these Yankee fans who everybody always criticizes are just showing themselves to be just total assholes. And obviously not all of them felt that way. Many of them feel exactly the way that you and I did, but to the ones that didn't, but that is poor form.
Yeah, extremely poor form. And maybe this guy got so much juice and everything because of his relationship with Gronk and that whole thing, but also too, it was just so bad. If you had hurt this guy, that would have been a real travesty.
Then you're getting like assault charges or some shit like that.
You should, Nick, because let the guys on the field decide the game. And I get it. That wasn't exactly on the field, but we all know in baseball, if this guy can reach the ball and catch it, that's an out. So I think you need to stay out of the way and let's see if he can catch the ball on his own. Right. And then the whole grabbing of the hand and the glove and trying to pull the ball out. What did you think was going to happen if you had been successful in pulling the ball out or pulling off his glove, which is what it almost seemed like he was doing, right? What do you think was going to happen? Were you going to be able to keep the glove or ball? You do know that you're on camera, right? It's just beyond stupid, Nick. And honestly, this guy you say who said it's the most New York thing ever, he doesn't know what the fuck being a New Yorker is. See, I hate when people glorify bad behavior, boorishness, and being an asshole, and they call that being a New Yorker. That's not true.
It's not true.
Okay? It's not true. It's just not true. It means that you're an asshole, and you think that being an asshole makes you more of a New Yorker, and guess what? You're wrong. Okay? You're wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple other things I could tell you about this individual that you would, as far as the people that he likes and supports, that you would not be surprised with, due to the other evidence I've given you, and it's this mindset of like, we're New York. How about your fucking team go out there and play the game the right way and, not make stupid mental errors, and your manager not take out his ace after 88 pitches, and, your best player actually get a hit before the season is, on its last leg, and on the brink. And how about your, best player not drop easy fly balls? Like, how about that? How about that be the reason that you turn a series around, and not the fact that some asshole in the seats tries to rip this guy's glove off? It's just, those guys should never be allowed to attend any venue and be in the crowd ever again. They shouldn't be able to watch a guy play acoustic guitar at a dive bar. Okay. They should be banned from fucking everything. I think they're assholes. I think they're, and I think that it's, nobody comes to your job and tries to interfere with it. You know what I mean? Like you have your job as fans. There's certain things that you can and you can't do to try to affect the game. That is way outside of that spectrum. And I'm glad that it's amazing to me that initially Yankee Stadium and people he wasn't banned, and like he was supposed to be like attending the next day's game. And I'm pretty sure MLB had to come in and be like, yo, this is what's happening.
And they took the tickets and gave him some kid with cancer.
Yes.
They were this guy's season tickets, and he was upset that he couldn't give them to his son or somebody else to go to the game. And
no. Yeah, you lose all your rights to everything.
You lost all your rights.
You lost all your rights to everything. And
dude.
if you're
allowed at the circus, that's it.
Exactly. I wouldn't even allow him there. Honestly, I think
rip some clown's nose off.
I think the clowns probably have more decorum than he does. But I thought that was poor form. But hey, man, what did you think about the way that the Yankees just went ahead and just shit the bed in that inning and just gave it away?
I mean, it was terrible. You got to feel badly. Obviously, they're a better team than that, although they're not a great fielding team. Aaron Judge did not have an error for the previous year and a half, and then he has that error, which is just, like some people want to say, see, Nick, this is what I think of, too, is just people throw around words. He choked. I don't think he choked.
No, that's a choke. That's the definition of a choke.
See, I don't think it's a choke, Nick. I don't think every time
in the biggest moment,
you make a bad play. I think he was looking at the ball and he's about to catch the ball and he, for some reason, took his eye off. I don't think he was trying to catch the ball and just squeezed it.
What do you mean? For some reason, he's a baseball player.
He took his eye off and he made a very bad mistake. I don't think every time you make a bad mistake, it's a choke.
I think that's the definition of a choke. I think that in the big moment, taking something that is routine and fucking it up is the definition of a choke. I don't know how. I don't know if you could look at anything and say it's more of a choke than that.
Well, I don't know that all mistakes are chokes. I don't know that every mistake you make, if it's in a big moment, it's a choke. I think
when you miss a shot, that's not a choke. I think when you short arm a free throw late in the game, that's a choke. I think that when you miss an easy fly ball, that's a choke. That's something that you want a little league player to make that play. And then the whatever happened with Cole and
now I heard somebody say that they didn't think Cole could have even beat him to first base.
It seemed like Rizzo was fairly close.
No. I heard some people say that they don't think Cole could have beat Betts
I heard you.
So do you think it
also seems like Rizzo was fairly close. Whether or not he can get there, he
got to run it out. I get that, Nick. I'm asking because I didn't see the play. I didn't see it live.
You haven't seen it? You still haven't seen it?
I've seen it, but only like clips and whatnot. I'm asking someone who's seen it live. Do you think Cole could have beaten Betts to the bat?
It would have been really close. It would have been really close. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where it's been really close, but at the end of the day, I mean, when the ball's hit to the right side as a pitcher,
run it out.
You just have to run it out. But before you get to see how the play plays out, just like we talked about with Diaz and against the Braves, you don't know if the ball's going to be fair, foul, whatever. Well, all you know that is if it ends up being a situation where the ball can be pitched to you or flipped to you, you have to be there, and he wasn't. And that right there. And I also, like I said, I also thought that Rizzo was extremely close to the bag, and that if he immediately fields that ball, which it was taking him away, but if he puts his foot, gets his spike down and goes over to the bag, I think that he probably had the best chance to make that play in that instance, but clearly he didn't feel like he could. And then, the dam breaks at that point, and they end up coming back, and the Dodgers win the World Series. Freddie Freeman really is tough way, and will be something that, as a Yankees fan, I'm sure that's one of those things you just never forget. There'll be times years from now that they'll just be like, because you thought maybe you had a chance to do something special. And, they end up losing in 5. And to Yankees fans who always feels like it's World Series or bust, and this team that has been in the playoffs every year, it seems like, to go out in 5, to go out in such embarrassing fashion, it's going to lead to a long and tough, offseason for their fans.
And now they're going to lose Soto on top of it.
You think they're definitely going to lose him, Dad?
I don't know. Definitely going to lose him. I think there's a chance that they're going to lose him. Listen, the ending doesn't help. Okay, it doesn't help. I mean, if he won and he's brimming and he's at the parade and all that, there's zero chance he's losing. I mean,
some people would argue the opposite. Some people would argue that if he wins, then he's I've done it. Now he's like, hey, we got so close. I want to get back with these guys and get it done.
Well, no, I think he's thinking we got so close, but I'm thinking, if he won, he'd be like, oh, I'm staying here. We're gonna have a dynasty here. You can if him and Judge were both killing it and they won it all. There's a zero chance he would walk away from that because he's like, come on, I'm working with me and this guy are going to be Garrett and who I don't know,
Ruth.
Garrett and Ruth, right. Not Mantle. Mantle wasn't around yet, or Damasio. But I think he might leave. And listen, I think Uncle Stevie's going to back up the truck and see what he's got. If he wants to, if it's about the money, I hope Stevie can give it to him. And then, of course, the question becomes, can we also keep Pete? I don't know. David Stearns, work your magic, make it happen.
I mean, there's no can we? I don't understand this.
We can.
You always say this, and people always say this.
Will we?
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't think that. I think that there's no way that Steve Cohen is going to have somebody come to him and say, hey, we can keep this guy. It's going to cost us $600 million. It's going to cost us 500, whatever for Pete. It's going to cost us 300. And he says, I'm willing to spend 200, but not 300. I'm willing to spend 5, but not 6. There's no way I just don't see that coming from Stearns at all. I'm sorry, or coming from Cohen at all. And there's no salary cap. So what does it mean?
What's your top for you? Well, see, you're going to say it doesn't matter, but I was going to say, what's your top per year that you would pay Pete? And the scale of things right now.
Doesn't matter.
I knew you were going to say that.
There's no number.
I know it's just a number, Nick, but you're not going to pay him more than say you pay, these other guys. I mean, you're not going to pay him what you pay Soto. Are you going to pay Pete $35 million a year? I don't think he's worth that. Is my point. I don't think.
I think
in the scale of things, I don't think he's there.
I think his worth is not just tied to his production as a baseball player. I think his worth is tied to
all of that's involved.
Being a Met his entire career. When he does historic things with the home run that he's probably going to do, those coming in a Mets uniform and what that's going to mean. So therefore I just think, and I also think that you have to pay a little bit of a tax when you are a New York team because of the taxes that your players end up having to pay. So there's just so many things. To me, you bring back Pete at all costs. You don't let anyone outbid you for Pete. In my opinion, I don't think you let anybody outbid you for Pete. And when it comes to Soto, I'm not screaming we got to go get Soto. Okay. And I think that, if he wants to come here, then he is a generational hitter. He's young. He's going to be great for years. He's not that great in the field. So now you're just, you're making yourself much worse defensively with him in the lineup. And worse.
Who's he taking the place of? Marte out there?
Marte's a much better fielder than you.
I get that. Marte's a much better fielder, but I mean, come on.
And then,
is Marte even close to as better a fielder as he is as better a hitter?
No.
No, right? Okay.
Not even close. Brandon Nimmo is your left fielder for the foreseeable future. So then if you get him, you have Marte on the books again next year. So then I guess the two of them combine for, some DH and some right field, I guess that makes sense.
Right. I guess you'd let Tyrone Taylor walk, or he would really be a backup guy then. And,
who's
playing center then?
I think that Tyrone Taylor is still going to be playing a lot of that center field. I think he's still your fourth outfielder and your de facto center fielder in that situation. Because Marte is going to get hurt some. You know what I mean?
Right. But I'm just saying, when everybody's healthy, you're going to want Marte in the lineup much more than Tyrone Taylor. Although I like Tyrone Taylor.
And Marte as a center fielder is a problem. So that's my thing. Right. And I don't know if I want to give up that defense. And did you hear what Ron Darling's comments about Soto? He said, I don't know why, but for some reason I would say no, that I wouldn't go after him. And he's like, he says, I feel like one player, we just saw in these playoffs how much one player can mean. I'd almost rather get like two $300 million players as opposed to one $600 million player.
Yeah.
I still think we can get a $600 million player and another $300 million player as well. But, I get where he's coming from, and I have reservations about what it does to us defensively if we get this guy. But at the same time, it seems like if you can get that bat and lock him up, I'm also weary of like, okay, now what, we're going to give this guy a 14-year contract, 12, 14
Yeah, I don't like contracts that long because, I mean, once a guy gets injury prone, now what? It becomes Albert Pujols or,
Yeah, but again, it's just that you have insurance. So you have insurance, so you get some of that money back, and it's not like it's not against your cap. So who cares? Right. I mean, look at Lindor. We gave Lindor a 10-year deal, and right now, I couldn't be more excited to have him for the duration of that contract.
Agreed.
Would you keep Boone?
I wouldn't if I was the Yankees, but honestly, I don't pay as close attention to them. And his moves all season. I know that a lot of Yankee fans are disgusted, but I think Yankee fans are going to be disgusted no matter what. As long as they don't win a championship, they're going to be disgusted, and everybody shits on Boone. All the Yankee fans that I hear, anyway. I can't remember recently one Yankee fan that I know saying, "I love Boone. We got to keep him around."
You don't hear
zero. Like how I feel about Tibbs. I've not heard any Yankee fan feel that way about Boone.
Or even how we feel about Mendoza. No, I never hear that. And I don't like Boone. I've never liked him. I don't like the way that he comes across in interviews. I don't like, his, my guys are savages in the box, blah, blah, that bullshit. I thought that was so contrived and such pandering. And I also, I don't like the way he manages. I thought taking out Garrett Cole after 88 pitches in game 1 was foolish. I think that he leans into the analytics too much and doesn't have enough like baseball feel and just go with his gut. And I just overall don't think he's a great manager. I don't think he's a great leader. And if I was him, if I were them, I would have gotten rid of him long ago. But it seems like they seem like they're sticking with Boone. Like they're going to stick with Boone. And the reports are already that, there is no thought of moving on from Boone after this season. So it looks like he's going to be back in pinstripes. And just as you said, I don't know one, and I plenty of Yankee fans, and I listen to all the New York sports talk radio. I never hear any of them being like, "Yo, I love this guy, Boone. Boone's great." Never.
Yeah, no, never happens. And, we'll see where it goes from here. And then they all hate Cashman, too.
Yeah, they all
hate Cashman. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know where it goes from here. You're going to have a disgruntled, team and fan base. But, they're the Yankees. They'll be in the mix again next year. And if they get a couple things figured out, they're good. What happened with Garrett Cole? I thought I heard somebody say on the radio that he opted out, or it's all bullshit, though. I think he's definitely coming back to them next year.
Yeah. Garrett Cole will be back in pinstripes next year.
There's some sort of contract where he could opt out or the team could opt out, but the team could keep him. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically he opted out, and the Yanks can now void that opt out by adding $36 million to the contract.
Right. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll get that figured out. They got to keep him, and the Yankees need to lengthen their lineup. That's the thing. You got too many Verdugos and Volpes and Walker. You got too many of these guys in here. It's just like, yo, this guy should not be starting for the Yankees, let alone in a World Series game. And that Dodgers lineup, that is what makes them so good, is how deep that lineup is. And, honestly, you look at that World Series, Dad, and if the Mets find a way to get past the Dodgers, they're beating the Yankees in the World Series. Obviously, I just think we're a better team than them. At the end of the year, I think we were a better team than them. The Yankees had a great hot start, but that lineup, man, it's just not that scary. And as soon as those big boppers aren't doing their thing, now all of a sudden they're having a tough time putting up runs.
No doubt about it. I mean, listen, we'll never know if we would have beat them or not, but I think that the Mets were a very good team this year. I really hope we can build on that next year, and I think we will, because I feel like we have a good management team. I'm not ready to trust in David Stearns quite as much as say I am in Leon, but I feel very good about it going forward.
What did you think of the unveiling of the new statue of Mr. Dwayne Wade down in Miami?
I mean, just terrible. I mean, I heard his statements, and the artist said that, it's not supposed to be like a picture, like exactly like him. It's an artist's rendering of a moment. And Dwayne Wade also reiterated and agreed with all that, and said he worked with this guy closely.
There's on him during the process with the guy as he's.
So somehow he saw this, Nick, before they did the unveiling. Was like, That's it right there. That's it. And evidently I also heard that nobody from the Heat organization saw it until the unveiling, which, again, I don't understand. This is going to sit in front of your stadium. Somebody's got to go, some point, some night with like a lariat or a chainsaw and chop off the head and just redo the head.
That it's terrible. I mean, it's so bad. It's
terrible.
You have that Ronaldo statue. That's about the other one that I've seen. That
still looks a lot more like Ronaldo than this guy. His eyes are just too close together.
Right.
In the Ronaldo statue.
A lot of people are saying that it looks like Lawrence Fishburne, especially when he plays Morpheus in the Matrix and he's getting electroshocked. It's horrible. It's absolutely really horrible. Bad. I don't give a fuck what DWade says now. I watched him like when he first went up and started talking after it was unveiled. He was not happy with it. He literally said, "Who is that guy?" And it's just it's a horrible, horrible statue. And I don't understand how this sculptor has a job. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, I did a deep dive recently. For some reason, I did a deep dive on Michelangelo recently. And so I really started looking, I was reading about him and I was looking at all the different stuff, the stuff that he did when he was 21, 22 years old, and the level of sculpting. Now, obviously, this guy's one of the greatest sculptors of all time. But the level of sculpting that you see, it's so amazing that they take this one piece of whatever material and they chisel it down to be this, this rendering of this person. And, the one where Mary is holding Jesus, even his feet and everything, the bend of him and his understanding of anatomy. And then you see this sculpture of this guy, and it's has sculpting fallen off that much over the centuries? And
I'll tell you why it has.
Because there's other great sculptures. And what I was going to say is that it has not, because you go and you look at something like Ed Reed's bust.
Right, and the Hall of Fame. The Football bust. Hall of Fame. It's perfect.
I said there was a post that said look, this should be the sculptor for all of these sports sculptures everywhere going forward. I mean, they get his hair perfectly, they get the likeness of his face, his expression, everything about it, the small subtleties. How is it that we can do that, but yet this person who clearly has to be some sort of highly rated sculptor to be commissioned to do this type of job, yet this is what we get? I mean, shout out to Virginia Beach Boardwalk. There's a huge Neptune statue there. And I mean, it's him, and he's holding the turtle. And I mean, it's massive. And it's obviously, some guy sculpted this. It was actually a Japanese gentleman who, he ruined his life in this during this labor of love. But it's a beautiful sculpture. How is it that the Miami Heat couldn't figure this out, do something better to be able to get this stuff? It's just hard to understand. Just
hire the guy who does the bust for the Hall of Fame. Just hire that guy.
Right.
Okay. You can keep the body. Just give me a new head.
Give me a new head.
It's a disaster. It's so bad. I can't believe Pat Riley hasn't ripped it down himself.
Yo, there's a lot. There's trouble in the 305 right now. Okay. So, Pat Riley, allegedly, there was some sort of thing with Jimmy in the offseason where Jimmy's, saying this or that, blah, blah, blah. He wants to get extended. They're not getting extended. He's been a little bit of a malcontent. And, they're also haven't started, they're starting off okay. But that Heat team, they looked a lot different to me, man. And I especially like to see Cat bust his ass a couple times, Jimmy Butler, because that about their history and everything. He got an and one on Jimmy late, and he had a couple times where Jimmy got switched on to him and he was giving it to him and also giving it to Bam Adebayo, that piece of shit over there. And then you saw that Brunson, he stepped on Jaquez's foot and sprained his ankle. When he sprained his ankle during that game against the Heat, it was Jaquez's foot that he stepped on. We already know that dirty bullshit he did where he bridged Julius last year.
Yeah,
them dirty
stepping
Heat
on this guy's
tactics.
Foot wasn't Jaquez's fault.
He slid his foot underneath his foot.
Oh,
fuck the Heat. Fuck them all. I hate them.
Stop it. Grow up.
I hate them, and I hate Bam Adebayo especially. And I love the fact that he's supposed to be such a great defender. He couldn't do nothing with Cat. I want everything Miami to go south. I'm glad that they have that stupid statue out there representing their dirty organization.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't mind seeing Miami lose, that's for sure. But I don't think Jaquez lit his foot on him. Come on, stop it.
He did. Stay woke. At 12-3 over the last 5 weeks, 3 picks against the spread every week. A little segment that we like to call the Big Guy Locks. All right, big guy, talk to me. Who do you like this week?
All right. So I gave it a look, and I think these three should be interesting. I actually wrote it down this week. Okay. So, you like that. I got the Commanders -4 over the Giants. I like that. I think this kid's riding high. Jayden Daniels. My goodness. What a ball player that kid is. And the team is running with him. So, yeah, and I think the Giants are reeling a bit. Just as an aside, saw that little clip of Daboll, which, by the way, Daboll, half the time I've seen him this season, Nick, I'm like, wait, who's that? He's lost so much weight. He looks totally different.
Ozempic.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Every time I see somebody lose a lot of weight now, that's what I think.
Okay. But also, too, just the way he's talking to Daniel Jones. I mean, come on, man.
He's always dressing this guy down, man.
Listen, if I'm Daniel Jones, I at some point this season, I say loudly on the sideline, go fuck yourself. Anyway. Next pick.
I don't think Daniel Jones has ever said a term like that in his entire life.
Well, he's got to grow some gumption. Seahawks +1.5 versus Rams. I'm surprised. I mean, it is in L.A., but the Seahawks are dogs versus the Rams, even though it's in L.A. I'm willing to take the points and pick the Seahawks there, and I think the Seahawks win that game outright. Okay, so I'm even going money line with Seahawks right there. And then I'm riding with the Vikes again, because the Vikes are -5.5 over the Colts. And so who's starting now for the Colts? Flacco.
Yep.
That could be the only wild card there. But I still think Flacco's going to come back down to earth. People have a way of reverting and come back down to earth, especially like C.J. Stroud just did. But I think Flacco's been leading a charmed life. I think the Vikings are going to get after him and bust his ass. So we'll see.
What'd you think of Anthony Richardson taking himself out of the game because he needed a blow?
You know me, Nick. I'm a purist. I'm definitely old school when it comes to football from, years and years. Yeah, that's lame. I mean, the one player who cannot do that on a football field is the quarterback. Okay, and I get it that he had to scramble around a lot and everything. Dan Orlovsky said it best. He's like, these guys are killing themselves trying to protect you. Even if you had to scramble around, okay, audible into a running play or something and just stay in the game. You can't tap out.
You're not exhausted.
When the receiver is running 30 yards downfield, has to sprint back to the huddle and then run 15 yards wide for his position, just before the play even happens. Okay, and you want to talk about you're tired? That's pretty lame. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I thought that it was. I mean, I've never heard of it before.
Never.
It was extremely
never
weird.
Will again.
And you'll never hear about it ever again. You mentioned Jayden Daniels earlier. What'd you think about that walk-off last-second touchdown Hail Mary that they threw against the Bears?
Okay, so my good friend at work who sits next to me, Joe Fehrenbach, is a huge Bears fan, Chicago guy. He was just so disgusted, so despondent, and he feels like, that it's the coach's fault or coaching fault. I see. I don't go there because I say, Nick, like they say, I heard many people say everybody practices this every week.
Their own coach said that they've practiced it hundreds of times.
So what happens there then, Nick, is that this guy, first of all, the guy talking to the fans was
Tyreek Stevenson.
Right, he was talking to the fans. But listen.
All-time embarrassing, stupid fucking moment.
He was talking to the fans, Nick, but I don't know. He was talking to the fans, and he went up and he tipped the ball, right? Mm-hmm. It's still not his fault because he tipped the ball and it went back. Somebody else, in fact, I think, no. In fact, he should have knocked it down, Nick, but he didn't. Yeah. Right. But he reached as high as he could. He couldn't get up there and knock it down. Fine. But the deal is that guy standing back there, the offensive player, should never be back there alone. Okay, another defensive player has to be with him. Just like we always talk about nobody behind you, talk about the moment when no one must be behind all defenders. This one guy jumped up, and granted, he shouldn't have been playing with the fans. He should have knocked the ball down if he could, but he tipped the ball as best he could. Just somebody's got to be on that guy, Nick, because you know what? You know what never gets called in that situation? Pass interference. Yeah, but you could literally drag the guy to the ground, and you're not going to get called for it.
But you're trying to make every excuse for this guy. Sometimes optics and the way that the play plays out matters. And for you to be doing that dumb shit as the play is beginning and as the play is going on, and then you run in late, and then you chip the ball up, which everybody knows you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to knock it down. It's on him. It's on him. Okay. Yes. Was there supposed to be somebody else that was supposed to be back there? Yes. Yeah. But also knock it down. You're not supposed to tip the ball up. That's the one thing you can't do in that situation is tip the ball up.
Nick,
it's what everyone is taught to do.
As you're reaching as high
it doesn't matter.
As you can.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
so
matter.
If he didn't, so if he said to himself, I might tip this ball up and not touch the ball. You have to hit the ball. If you're one of the defenders there and you can touch the ball, you have to hit it.
You're not asked to hit the ball. You're asked to knock it down. It doesn't. You can't just do it indiscriminately.
That is ideal.
Well, he did it incorrectly. He did it incorrectly, and he lost the game for his fucking team. He sucks. It was an idiotic thing. He looks like an idiot and like an asshole for the way he was conducting himself. And then it was perfect poetic justice that he ends up being the one that tips the ball directly to a Commanders player, and they lose the game. You are taught to knock it down, not to tip it up. He did exactly what he was not supposed to do right there.
It all doesn't matter if somebody else does what they're supposed to do. Yes,
but that's fine. That's somebody else. You didn't do what you were supposed to do, Tyreek Stevenson, and you lost the game for your team. And it was an all-time embarrassing moment. I can't imagine how embarrassed I would be if that were my son or something like that, for just the way he was conducting himself and the way that he clearly wasn't really focused on doing. Maybe he wasn't saying to himself right before the play, I have to make sure that I knock it down and I don't tip it up.
Clearly wasn't concentrating.
Exactly. He wasn't concentrating. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. He didn't execute the play that he was the way that he was supposed to.
I think worse, Nick, is a defensive player who's in the back of that scrum. And he's got a player right behind him, and he's in the back of that scrum and didn't do anything. He didn't touch the ball. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And there's somebody right there that if he had just turned around and seen that guy, he could have put a stop to it. I think that's a more egregious mistake. Those are all hypotheticals. Whereas we know exactly what this guy did. We saw what he did at the beginning of the play and how he conducted himself, and we saw what he did when it came to tipping the ball up instead of knocking it down, and we saw how it all ended. That's okay. It's an opinion. I hear you.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. You can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.